report by NFL Network's Michael Silver said that the Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown was not participating in training camp practices, not only because of the frostbite on his feet from cryotherapy, but because he's being forced to wear a helmet different from the one that he's worn throughout his 10-year NFL career. Our NFL insider, Ian Rappaport, reported that Brown filed a grievance with the league for their helmet enforcement regulations. Now, here's what head coach John Gruden had to say about Antonio Brown and the situation.
I don't know what anybody's writing or what anybody thinks, but this foot injury wasn't his fault. You know, this was a total accident. It really wasn't his fault, and it's a serious injury. I know some people are smarting at it, but it's really not a laughing matter. The guy was hurt. He was innocent. He didn't do anything wrong, and the helmet thing is a personal matter to him. You know, he has a strong feeling about what he's worn on his head, and we're supporting him. We understand the league's position as well, so we're in a tough spot. And we hope Antonio is back here soon because he's exciting to be around. I'm excited. I got some plays for him. I hope we can start calling him.
I'm excited, John, to see Hard Knocks this week on HBO. Kyle, what do you make of these comments, Gruden on AB?
Okay, remember when I used to say Antonio Brown was the coolest player in the league?
You loved him, yeah.
That was fun. This came out on Friday, so all weekend, all the jokes have already been made. Every helmet joke, every Spaceballs joke, and that's fine. Because right now, AB is the joke. And I really mean that. This is a joke to John Gruden, who was out there tap dancing, trying to have his back. It's a joke to Mike Mayock, who stuck his neck out and made a huge investment in him. It's his joke to all his new teammates. It is a joke to every other veteran player who's had to change their helmet even if they don't want to. It is a joke to every former player who never had the opportunity to wear safer equipment. This grievance against the league is a joke. His threat to retire from football is a hilarious joke. And the biggest joke is on himself. Because AB is a guy who was the face of one of the most dangerous, scary helmet-to-helmet collision moments we've ever had in the playoffs against Cincinnati. It's a joke. And like all bad jokes, it's bad timing, it's not funny, and the only people laughing are laughing at him. It's a joke.
Okay, you continue to say that it's a joke. It's a joke, but it's no laughing matter if AB doesn't show up because he's one of the best receivers, not just on this team, but in the entire league. Now, of course, I could sit here and say I would have loved to seen AB on the sideline of preseason game #1 for the Raiders, but he wasn't. But when it comes to this specific issue, I understand where he's coming from. I'm not saying that I agree, but I've been there. And Kyle, you could say this is a joke, but you're also a football player. Yep. And at one point, you had to change helmets. And that first day, first week, or even first year was uncomfortable. And guys are reluctant to put on a new helmet. We're a little superstitious when it comes to our comfort. So I know where he's coming from.
The tools of an artist.
I get it. Exactly. But what AB is looking at this from the perspective of how I've been dominating for so long. I've been wearing a certain type of cleat, a certain type of helmet, a certain type of shoulder pad. And right now, at the end of my career, if I want to wear this, you don't have to overprotect me. It's on me. So let me wear whatever helmet I want. With all that said, though, in a long way, I agree with you. The helmets are here to protect us. I've walked in these locker rooms over the last couple of years. I've seen the technology. I've seen how they are made. It just takes a little bit of time getting used to it. It's like breaking in cleats. You have to break in a new helmet. It's going to take some time. And if AB doesn't decide to put on a helmet sooner than later, then I do think AB, because when he says I don't need football, he's for real. He'll walk away from this game. He already has the money, already has the fame. He doesn't need to show up.
All right, so to give some context here, the helmet that he wants to wear hasn't been manufactured in years.
Yep.
It's 10 years old, this helmet. They say that it's as light as can be. So you put it on, it's basically like you're wearing a feather on your head, and that's what he's always played in. 2017, they put in a new rule that the NFLPA, so his union, and the NFL agreed upon, saying these helmets need to be updated. We need to have some sort of guidelines. Last year was a grace period. You could wear whatever you want. This year, they're finally instituting the rule. 2016 players right now in NFL camps. He's the only one who is saying, I refuse to do this and making agreements. Now, if that's the hill you want to die on, that's fine. The Raiders can also say, all right, $30 million guarantee that we could still pull from you because of the way his contract is built. Is that the hill you want to die on? At the core of this, at the crux of this, is that what Kyle's saying. A lot of people went out on a limb here, and someone made this analogy to me. This is like someone complaining about having to wear a seatbelt in a car and saying, why is that a law? I should have a choice to do that.
I'm more comfortable without the seatbelt.
I'm more comfortable without the seatbelt. I like driving better without the seatbelt. Yep. I'm better at driving without the seatbelt. If you look at it that way, the NFLPA and the NFL are looking out for Antonio Brown's safety. They're trying to spin it forward for years to come. The helmet that he used to wear was an old technology. It's been updated. And the sacrifice of not wearing that helmet might be better for the long term because, God forbid, he wears his old helmet and actually suffer something of an injury.
Right.
And then it's on him. It's not on the league. It's not on the
Right.
VA. They're trying to protect him from himself. I would hope Antonio Brown would know that, and there's nothing against him because, like I said, there's more than 2,000 players in the league. He's the only one trying to lash out against this new.
And there were dozens of them who were enjoying that one last grace year period. And one of them, I think, was Tom Brady.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers, another one of those names who now, after long careers in the league, have to sort of adjust. Isn't this bigger than the helmet thing? Like, he's out there doing artistry, doing what we had our showrunner's daughter do on ping pong balls, draw
Painting the Raiders
logos
logo.
of the Raiders on his old helmet. That's, to me, that is more than a red flag. Is this someone who wants to play football? I don't know that Antonio Brown wants to play football, and that is a huge problem for me if I'm anybody in that building, if I'm anybody in there sweating through training camp, or if I'm a fan that wants to buy tickets to sit in those seats.
Yeah, and like the Mike Silver tweet thread was unbelievable.
It's crazy.
The stuff you're saying, and all the way to I'm looking at my bank accounts on Instagram during meetings, and like I love to defend the player. We like to try to do that here. My hands are tied. This is a joke. It's a clown show. You're supposed to be the face of the new team. You got a huge contract. You won't wear the helmet? Tom Brady changed his helmet. You can change your helmet, dude. I get that it's your favorite helmet. And Nate, I can't imagine you could possibly be scoffing at this. And I know it conflicts you. This is terrible.
It does conflict me. It does conflict me because I see it both ways. But listening to you guys, I have to respond to what's being said at the table. You say it's a joke. And Kay says, "Is this a guy who wants to play football?" I don't think this is a joke to Antonio Brown, and yes, Antonio wants to play football. The reason why Antonio is so successful is because he has a stubborn mindset, and he wants things done his way.
You don't think Tom Brady's stubborn?
I get that, but there's a reason why he's climbed to the charts and being one of the best receivers in the business. And sometimes how you approach life spills over in how you do your business. And right now, there's this blend between how Antonio is approaching football and how he approaches that as a businessman. And that's a gray area for him. We can look at it and scoff at it, but for Antonio, he's looking at it the same way he looked at life. I'm going to do it my way, and if you don't allow me to do it my way, I will walk away.
His teammates are out there on the field, right?
Yeah.
They're out there playing. They're in the new helmets. I mean,
We'll
come
be
on.
talking about this a lot. What do you got, Trig?
Just quickly, that Gruden took Antonio Brown's side says a lot about how players view Gruden. Like, he could have easily been like, enough. I don't know how to connect with this guy. Instead, Gruden's like, you are all making fun of me. You're smarting about his foot. Guess what? It's a serious injury. And this helmet thing, we support him. He's our key player. We want him on the field. I think that goes a long way.
No doubt.
And I think players around the league
Great
see
point.
that and say, okay, Gruden's our dude. Like, he's at least got our back, even if the argument is really far-fetched and maybe not logical on paper.